If you don't know enough words, you can't speak a language. No amount of comprehensible input or immersion will save you if you don't know enough words to understand what you're listening to and to speak the language. So, how do you fix this? You simply need to learn more words and you need to learn them faster. And in this video, I'll show you the fastest way to learn thousands of words in any language and also all the grammar fast in context. All right, let's get started. My name is Mikkel and I'm a hyper polyglot. I speak a dozen languages. I developed a fast and efficient language learning system in the Innovation Center of the University of Deusto here in San Sebastian, the Basque Country, Spain. I've helped thousands of people learn languages fast. And this is the truth about language learning. Vocabulary is by far the most important thing. You need to learn more words and you need to learn them way faster because if you don't know enough words, you simply can't understand the language and, of course, you can't speak. So you need to learn more words, right? But I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do for that. Because if you ask any language YouTuber or guru how to learn vocabulary, most of them will say exactly the same thing. Just immerse yourself in the language, watch more videos in the language, Netflix, YouTube, and just speak to people. And okay, all of that is fine, and it will be helpful if you do enough of it, but it's very slow. It's extremely slow, in fact. And if you want to learn enough vocab by reading and listening, vocabulary acquisition is going to be very slow because you already need to know enough vocab to understand what you're reading or you're listening to. Otherwise, you will not understand anything and you will make very, very slow progress. And if you want to learn just by talking to people, you will make some progress in the beginning. You will feel like you're improving because you learn a few useful words and phrases in the beginning, but then you will stop improving very quickly once you know enough to get by in very basic conversations, you will stop improving and you get stuck at the beginner level. So, this is my advice. Try to learn as many words and sentences early on uh, through mass sentences, all right? And what I do is this I use this list of mass sentences. This is a list of all the common and also less common verbs in the language. This is Spanish. And for each one of them, you get example sentences of all the different conjugations. All right. So this is to be, and then later on you have, to go, to come, to be, to eat, to drink. It's like basically all the verbs. You start with the most common ones, and they get less and less common. So it's a massive list. 2,000 verbs, 20 plus thousand sentences in total, but they follow a logical order, all right? So you see them in groups of similar words, just conjugations of the same verb in example sentences. So there's a logical order, and because they're next to the other conjugations of the same verb, they're much easier to learn because you're just seeing the same verb in different conjugations. Yeah, he had been, she is being, it's to be, I am, you are, he is, we've been, they are, she would be, etc. And then later on, he sees, we see, they see, I would see, they would see. You get the idea. So the way to learn vocab and also all the grammar with this is very, very simple. You're just going to need three things. First one is mnemonic associations. This is by far the most efficient way to memorize raw data. Like if you don't know what a new word means, this is the fastest way to memorize it and retain it long term, or at least long enough to then review it a few times in context. So mnemonic associations first to memorize the new words, and then simply reading and listening. You get the audio files of this, and you read it, and you check if you understand the meaning or not. You will not understand the meaning. If you are if you are starting from scratch and you don't know anything about the language, then you simply read the English first. Then you know the meaning and you read the sentence. And if you've done this with five different sentences with the same verb, it'll get easier and easier, at least with that verb. And the thing with mnemonic associations is that because you're just seeing different conjugations of the same verb, you only have to do it with the first one of the group of sentences. This is the beauty of language islands. No, sorry, of um, word families. Right? You learn the first one. Language islands is something completely different. That's for speaking. But yeah, you create a mnemonic association of the first one, and then you will remember the other ones, and you learn the grammar as well through pattern recognition. Because if you're seeing all the different conjugations, like uh, había sido, está siendo, ser, soy, eres, blah blah blah, and then later on we'll have this all the same different conjugations of a different verb. Tuviera, tenemos, tienen, está. Yeah. So, dicen, dirían, dice, dijo, dijera, dicen again, dijiste. That's to say in Spanish. And this works really well for any kind of, basically any language. You learn the sentences, you first memorize the vocab. So you do sentences, let's say 1 to 1,000 a day. It sounds crazy, but it's really not, because you only have to memorize one uh, word out of like 10 or 20, right? The rest of them, they just in context. All right, then you get lots of extra vocab there, but all of that you learn it very easily in context. Some words that are really like some words are cognates, like this one, like incredible, experience, project, difficulty, responsibility. See this voice, Spanish, and languages like that, French, Italian. You learn a lot of vocab just by being exposed to it. But if you do it in a structured manner like this, it'll be much easier instead of just being exposed to random stuff. So you use mnemonics for the first sentence of the first time you get exposed to a new verb, and the rest of them just context. So you read and understand, and then you also listen to them on repeat. And it is a lot of content here. There is a lot of content. It's, well, it's a pretty massive list. But the thing is, after a few thousand sentences, you learn the patterns really well, all the different conjugations and all the grammar. So it becomes so easy to keep improving that you just have to learn the first word of each word family. So let's say you see a new one, like admitir. Okay, that one is easy because it's the same thing in English. There's a lot of them in Spanish that are like that. And once you've seen admitir, ella admite, admito mis fracasos, admites tú. You say it a bunch of times, and because you've seen it like 10 times in different contexts, you remember the word. Um, and you review like 1,000 of them a day, sentences, or a couple thousand, and then tomorrow you continue. And once you finish the list, you go back and you reread it. And after like 3 or 4 like reading rounds from start to finish, because also each one of them will be way faster than the previous one after memorizing the vocab, you remember most of this pretty well. Not actively, you won't be able to use all of it actively in conversation, but you know all the grammar structures and all the conjugations well, and you'll at least recognize all the words, and you'll be able to use a lot of them. Then, if you want to learn them to actually uh, use them actively, then you should do specific work with those. But this is really good for comprehension. Once you've learned a huge list like this, which includes all the verbs you need, all the conjugations, most of the rest of the grammar as well, and over 15,000 total words, unique words, including all the other vocabulary here, not just the conjugations of the verbs, you'll be able to understand pretty much anything if you've also been listening to the language, right? So this is how you learn vocabulary really fast. And like I said in the beginning, learning vocabulary is extremely important because if you don't know the words, you cannot understand the language and you can't speak either. So priority number one should be learning more words. And this is by far the fastest way to do it. All right. So mnemonic associations, if you don't know how to do it, go watch my other tutorials where I show you lots of examples and then lots of reviewing of the example sentences of the words. All right. And you review the same example sentences over and over again until you understand everything. And if you keep reviewing them and then you practice saying them aloud as well, eventually you'll be able to use them actively in conversation.